Creating an engaging intro video to a video production reel isn't the easiest task. A lot of times, it's not even necessary. But this year, we wanted to do something cinematic, so we created this.
It feels like yesterday when this all began. A dream filled with challenges. But we didn't see obstacles. We saw opportunities. If our first 3 years taught us anything, it's to be grateful for every lesson learned, every mistake made, and every late night. Because guess what? We're just getting started.
Heavily inspired by Gox Art's YouTube video on the creative process, we expanded upon his video with a few specialty shots unique to make it our own. We're going to break down these 3 shots in this video, and if you stick around to the very end, you'll get to see a special intro to our intro that you won't want to miss.
In order to match from our paper throw shot, we wanted to do something a little bit interesting and create a POV from inside the trash can looking up at our talent Levi. We went and got this trash can right here because it had a removable bottom, so we could shoot up through it and get that perspective. We had to rig this trash can to work perfectly for us by using some Cardellini's and a C-stand arm. We just kind of bit down on the trash can and tried to get it as steady as possible. As far as the camera rig goes, we used the Laowa probe lens to get that wide angle look. It's at an f/14, so we really had to crank our ISO to the dual native of 12,800 that our Sony a7S IIIs can achieve. And this was great for us, and we just blasted a ton of light into the scene to make sure our subject was well lit. We were using a 600X at full power with a light dome, with plenty of diffusion and a grid. We also put an aperture MC light inside this trash can to kind of fill the shadows inside and just kind of have that detail. If there were any takeaways from this shot specifically, we would just make sure to use more points of contact, because once Levi was reaching in and kind of like bristling those papers, it was creating more shakiness, and you kind of saw that on the edge of the frame in some of the takes. But this was something we wanted to try out, and I think we did a pretty good job.
For what we're calling the dolly desk shot, we really wanted to illustrate our talent's work getting away from him. What better way to do that than to physically remove him from the scene? But instead of moving him, we wanted to move the desk instead. So we didn't have like a proper dolly track or anything like that. So instead we opted for just a Rubbermaid cart that we had around the office. So once we put the desk physically on the Rubbermaid cart, we wanted to have the camera locked down on the cart as well. So we rigged it using some Cardellini clamps and knuckles. And then we also had a tube light as the key rigged to the cart as well, using C-stands, booming it over using a gobo arm. So because we wanted to see a lot of the room, you could see we were using a wide angle, 16 to 35 to be specific, set at 16. We also just were going for a real contrasty look for this entire first half of this video. So we put a tube light on the ground, giving off that blue here in the corner. In hindsight, we wouldn't recommend the Rubbermaid cart. We would recommend a proper dolly track, mainly because the omnidirectional wheels, they rotated as we like pulled it back, so it made for a little shake in the final, but we were really happy with how it turned out.
So our studio space has these SPLYCEHOUSE logos. They're transparent and they're on our windows and doors. Earlier last year, we noticed that the sun at the right time of day would bounce off of cars in the parking lot and project the logo onto the back wall. This gave us an idea for a shot. Why don't we have the SPLYCEHOUSE logo project onto the back wall as our talent looks up with his light bulb moment, per se? We thought this would be pretty easy to do, but when we got into filming it, it was a little trickier. Let me dive into the shot. Our plan at first was to use a Leica light to project the brand emblem. Leica lights, also known as source 4s or ellipsoidals, allow for a metal disc with a shape in it, known as gobos, to slide in front of the lens to give you a clean, hard edge projection. Unfortunately, time was of the essence. We didn't have time to make a gobo with our logo in it, and so we couldn't use the Leica light to project it. So we had to get a little more creative. We ended up using a sheet of plexiglass with our already made transparent sticker that we had, put that in front of our light source. We at first tried to use a Bowens mount reflector to shine into that logo, but that didn't create the type pattern that we wanted on the back wall. So instead of using that, we went with a Bowen's mount snoot. This thing basically focuses your light to a narrow point. Does not have a lens in it like an ellipsoidal, a Source 4, but it does focus the light a little more. And at the right distance from the actual logo itself, it created the right shape that we needed on the back wall. So that was perfect. That's an Aperture Amaran 200X set at 6500 Kelvin. That's shining on the back wall. You've got your key light, your 600X at 3200 Kelvin, balanced to the camera. We used for a kicker a Nanlite Pavo tube, 4 foot, set to 6500 Kelvin, again, to keep it a little cooler back there. And then we also wanted a little more coolness in the background. Again, teal orange looks great. It's our brand colors, so we opted to use just natural light, open the door to the back hallway, and that just let a little bit of cool light come in. On action, we dimmed the light to achieve the desired look, and yeah, that's how that turned out. Now, I promised you all a very special intro that we made to the intro video. This was just for clients as a way of saying thank you, but we had a lot of fun with it. It's pretty lo-fi, but it's basically inspired by 90s sitcom intros. So please enjoy our intro to our intro with your favorite Splice House crew.
Thank you for choosing your friends at Splice House. We're so grateful we work with you. 2024 was quite a good year. Here's a look back